It's up big today, and you see a dolly behind me. That's because we're getting ready to put in the um, countertops, and also the refrigerator's coming today. We got to reorder the fridge, so that's what's going on. So let's jump into it. We have Big Bear AI. We have this nice trend that's been developing with the company. Yesterday, we talked about how they were potentially starting to break out of a downtrend. We have this trend here. It's been consistent and was like this. And you also have this resistance acting as a support there, kind of a consistent downtrend. And we said it was right here. This was literally yesterday. And we were saying, this is kind of what happened last time it broke out when it was downtrending. It found the support back on July 14th, pushed up and broke out. That's exactly what we saw today. And as you can see here, it's up into that $7.80 price point. So we saw it push up to highs of $8.65, sell back down, and then break out of this downtrend recently. Now, is it turning bullish? It's possible that we still see market corrections and that this is kind of what could be happening here. Something a little more conservative would be like this, and you're like, oh, this is actually the trend, and we see it get rejected, and that's what's going on. Or we're now looking at consolidation phase, and we can kind of take a step back here. And you got this resistance here and support. And so now the next target, could be here at around $8 a share, which would make a lot of sense given its direction. So $8 a share. And that's kind of the next level of resistance here in this $8, $8.50 range, somewhere in here, about a 5% margin for profit or a 12% margin to previous highs. So that's what we're watching there, and that is the aggressive kind of bull approach if we see the market do well. One thing to note, we got earnings today on Tesla. You got earnings today on Alphabet, so Wednesday after hours today on July 21st, or week of July 21st, Wednesday after hours, we got Tesla. So, and Google and IBM. And so what does that mean? It means overall direction could be potentially big. We actually entered a position today on Tesla. We had some nice projections here for Tesla that we're kind of testing out in our new software, Mercatus, and giving it a shot. So that is going well so far. We're up on that position. Now, what we're going to be watching here in the near term is we are going to have a look here at the recent developments for Big Bear AI. There's been some articles that have come out around that there's biometrics that are expanding into new contracts for TSA, which means TSA is looking to potentially spend billions of dollars on a new biometric company. That is speculation. We've been unable to verify that source, but we do see BigBear.AI deploying enhanced passenger processing biometrics into all of these airports. So you see Charlotte, you see Chicago, cross-border, Denver International Airport, John F. Kennedy, Los Angeles. What is the technology? It is their new, if you kind of jump into the travel and trade here, their new tech here, the VeriScan. It looks like this, and it's starting to grow. So just from a fundamental perspective, you see the technology start to kick in. And I've seen it at a lot of airports, and I've seen a lot of you guys comment too, saying that you see it as well. I see some comments here. Crazy Carl says, hey, what's up? Biggie's here. Agua, good to see you. You got ready, BBAI. Am I in West Virginia? Nope, I'm in California, Northern California. Pereira says, or Pereira says, hey, Will, is it going to keep going up tomorrow? That's a good question. We'll take a look at the levels. Larry, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Larry. And Josh says AMPX. Yeah, we've taken a look at them. I think that their tech was looking fairly good and their financials were okay. We're just looking, there weren't any big catalysts on the company, if I remember right. So what I wanted to look at, Snack says, greetings from Livermore. Wow, awesome. I've wanted to go there, actually. Sounds like an awesome place. When it comes to the levels at which we're watching with Big Bear, we see it break out of that downtrend, starting to maybe make its moves back up into that $8.50 range. The most important thing in the long term, obviously, is that they continue to build their market cap, continue to get up into new levels. We've watched their financials and we're looking at increased revenues, and we're seeing their balance sheet reduce the debt and keep the assets high. So with those things high, that's going to be some good indication for them to have further growth. So we got the institutions looking good. You have overall increased positions and more increased positions than decreased positions. But here's what we're looking at too. Lulabelle says, late to the party. You just joined. Happy to see you here. Appreciate it. So BigBear.AI's levels that we're watching, we got a support level very strong there at about $7 a share, which we've talked about a few times. There is obviously now some momentum in this reversal. We saw them start this downtrend and then break back above into these levels. If we're going to have, let's say, this trend up into this $8.60 range, there's a few levels to watch. We have this kind of trend developing here, kind of looks something like this. This is kind of what it would look like for them to take a steady approach up into these levels, something like this. And if that's the case, if we see something very consistent, it's probably going to look something like this. So you're going to see rejection down potentially. This is a conservative way. And we see it potentially swing up into this movement. At least that's what we've seen last time when it's made this run. In previous times, it's been kind of, it was a bigger bull trend for sure. But we could see something like this play out. And if it does continue to bull up, some good indicators are going to be the previous resistance. So previous resistance right now seems to be right around here. You got a support level here, you got a support here. So support level, resistance right here, resistance. This is about $7.50 resistance right there, support, and then you see it kind of extend out $7.50, and it has that as a support recently. So you saw it kind of struggle a little bit, break above, consolidate a little bit. That's just where it crossed over that 200-day moving average, and we see it push back up above that level. So the strongest and nearest support is about $7.50. Driving says, why would you cash out? I'm not cashed out. I have long-term positions in Big Bear, and we have for about 8 months or so. Started covering it back in October. But the near-term, short-term trades, we don't have anything going with it right now. We had a few trades going. We've got shorter term stuff. We got, let's see, we got Black Sky, we got Redwire, we had some ARB, which brought the portfolio down just a tad bit over in the crypto market. And then also one valuable one that could be, a gamble is TSLL. I never buy before earnings, but we're in it right now before earnings. And that's Tesla stock. And we see it actually, they got their earnings coming up here in just a few. So we'll be watching how that earnings plays out here about 2:30 Pacific time. We'll be watching there. So you got Tesla reporting earnings today, and outside of why that, possibly they could go up, they could go down, we don't know. One of the predictions with our Mercatus software machine is saying they're going up. Now, since I bought them, let's see, when I bought it said 1.2% up in the next day. And that was based on some of the sentiment and volume. And if we look at the Tesla position right now, where are we at? Tesla, TSLO. Let me see how our position's doing so far. Looks like we're up about $300, $306 profit, or $309, or $298. So we're kind of looking at this move here to potentially play out with Tesla. Now, so if that's the case, we're up $290. So we're up, we're up about 1%, 1.5%. 1 or 2% right now. So it's holding true so far. Again, kind of taking a test. We're doing a lot of back testing on the software, but definitely also want to see how it performs. So that's what's going on with that trade today. We'll be there in TSLL. Yeah, kind of hovering around that $300 profit mark right now. And then as far as CTM, we didn't have any short-term stuff. We got our long-term stuff, but no short-term trades happening on CTM at the moment. CTM pulled back. Defense companies saw a pullback. The greater market saw a pullback yesterday. We see a little bit of a bounce today. So we're going to be watching $7.50 support there on BBAI. You got next targets around that $8 range. So it's kind of hovering now at $7.70. So we'll be watching Big Bear. The other thing to watch on Big Bear is you got the World Cup coming up. And if they're going to be one of the main companies that gets maybe some biometric contracts with the U.S. government further than just the Pentagon or the Department of Defense that they have, but we start to see real TSA contracts roll in, then potentially they could see some really nice earnings. I mean, we'll see what the contract values are on these airport ones here, but they have earnings coming up on August 11th. So August 11th earnings, it's going to be a little bit, but that's okay. Things are still starting to heat up. And I see Johnny says, what's up? What's up, Johnny? Good to see you, man. And we got Khalid here. He says he just sold his BBAI. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to keep holding on my long-term BBAI, and I'd love to play the pullbacks for sure. But I really do think you could be onto something. I mean, I think the market's pulled back. We were actually literally, I was just looking at it. We were just trading this morning. If I go look at our live session inside of StockMeet, it was this morning that we were trading right here. It was SOXS. You guys see this? It was $298 profit SOXS this morning. What does that mean? It means we were going against the market. We were shorting the market the past day and a half to hedge against some of that pullback. And so that's what we're doing. You can see my face. I look like extra tired in the morning. But it's still, anyway, that's how it looks. So, and if you guys ever want to join those daily live trading sessions and StockMates and also get not just these earnings, which you could screenshot right now, but you get the actual targets for all the companies and the ones you want to pay attention to pre-market and after hours. And I'll also send you even a free t-shirt anywhere in the world. It's the second link in the description. So would love to see you there at Market Open tomorrow morning. We got a special sale there if you want to take advantage of it for lifetime access to our Monday through Friday daily live trading sessions that happen every day. It's the second link down below. I see Alberto says, what is a good entrance price for Big Bear these days? I think it kind of depends on your plan. You know, it doesn't really matter if you're short term or long term. What's the plan? Because you kind of a good way to look at it, like, let's just let's see here on one of our recent trades we just took. I think it was it APLD? I think APLD it was. Oh, is it going to show? I was going to try and clean it up. Let's see. It doesn't show. That's okay. We could draw one out. But imagine like you buy Big Bear right now. Okay, so just imagine. You buy Big Bear right now. It's kind of at a high right now, $7.80. We haven't seen these highs really since February. It was around $1 a share. We started covering it, reached that $10 price point in February, but sold all the way back down to $2.30. So then we see it push up, and now it's like, oh, it's pretty high. RSI, MACD, maybe on the overbought side. It's over that 200-day moving average. Things have looked bullish, right? Well, one thing to consider, you know, if you're long term, it won't really matter if you're really, you know, 3-5 years, it won't matter, anything like that, because you could be okay with riding a 5-month dip, for example, like we saw here with the greater market. But like if you're like short term, something like that, then it would make sense to have a plan together. So when you say what's my best entry, I mean, from an entry standpoint, some of the best entries were back here around $4. Just from a technical perspective, seeing the breakout take place. It was also right in the golden ratio on Fibonacci, which we if I'm not mistaken, was right there. You go from the top down to the lowest low right here into where you could see it go, which we were looking for something like this. So yeah, and that breakout right there at around $5 a share was like a really good entry, and that we did call that out. But if you're looking at it right now, you're like, oh, what do I do? Should I buy? It's already up there or whatever. I think something to consider, and this is going to be the number one determining factor of your success, is going to be the goals that you have for the trade and investment. So if it's like a shorter term trade, you're looking for, let's say, this swing up into this $8.70 range, something like this. It's like, okay, put together a plan. I personally, we love to use our stock profit calculator. So imagine we're buying right now. Okay, so around $7.85 would be our entry. So we're going 785, and let's say we got a current price of, I don't know, what is it, 787 now? Oops, 787, and let's say you're getting 1,000 shares, something like that. So basically, according to how I manage risk, if you're going for 10% margins, you would set a stop around $7.69. And this is just how I do it, right? You don't have to do it this way, but this is how I think for myself. And like, I just confidently execute trades. And if it's up, it's down, emotions, things like that, doesn't matter. If you're confident, you do it. You set your stop, you look for your take profit. So we'd be risking, 2% here, but we'd be going for, what would the margin for profit be? 10% gain on that 1,000 shares would be $8.64. So you'd be going for, again, right up there in that green. It would be, it would be something like this. So you go up here in this green, and you would probably want to sell somewhere around that 864. So now you could afford to lose. You can manage that risk. It's totally fine. You're going from support to resistance. Fairly good. You got some wiggle room for 2%, but you're going for a lot more profit than that of your risk, right? You're going for that 10, 12% margin for profit when you're managing 2%. That's how I do short terms if I'm uncertain. It works for me. Confidence is key, and you have to execute it. If you don't execute it, then you'll end up bag holding, which is fine if it's like, but you don't want it to turn into a long-term trade. But ultimately, it's fine for us because all the companies we invest in are intrinsically valuable. I don't trade short-term. Some people say it's okay to trade crappy stocks if you're just for a quick buck. I get it, but I don't ever do that, because if it ever turns into a longer-term trade by accident, I never want to be invested in something that's not of integrity that you'd want to hold for a long time. So basically, that's the approach. That's how I would approach it. Now, of course, like, is that the trade we take right now? I mean, possibly. Seems fairly bullish that would happen. Conservatively, maybe we do see a retest, a market correction. But hey, if Tesla comes in with some good earnings, which we're in that position, which according to Mercatus, we'll see. I mean, we could also check BBAI and see what it says. You guys want to see that? How epic is this? This is GPT Pro. So the first level of like AI is the chat. Obviously, you got the chat GPT, right? Josh says, how do you know when you go live? If you want, you could turn on the post notification bell. It's right by my subscribe button. But then you have the chat, right? And then the evolution of the chat has been like the GPTs, the prompts that you can develop that then are tools that you use. But then one thing that, I think is now the next level, and what we're building out here, is more like agentic AI. So just on Thursday, kind of the world changed, and it's not crazy because there's other models that have done it, and we're working on adding other models than just OpenAI. But the agentic AI basically goes and does the research. It opens up a desktop, it does the research, and you can kind of create these swarms, these big, I guess, multiple agents that are researching a stock, AI agents that are going and researching. And so that's kind of what we're developing into some of our tech. But anyway, Big Bear AI here, you got 1.5% up, it says, in the next day up to that 7.99. It looks like yeah, next hour it's saying 0.2%. It's pretty bullish actually. I don't know if the yeah, it was anticipating a pullback about a week ago, which it did pull back. It was because of the big push up, right? It was at an all-time high, and it was saying the market was going to go down actually quite a bit. I just got an email. I was just checking an email a minute ago, and it's Larry. Larry's in the chat right now, actually. I see Larry. Larry sent me an email earlier today. He said, I was looking at something. It said it was pulling back, and there you go. The market pulled back, something like that. And so pretty interesting stuff. So we're going to see what that looks like in the next few hours, Big Bear. But yeah, that's kind of the trade we'll be watching. I see a lot of you guys are really looking at, you want to see some more updates on BBAI, CTM. Yeah, I love that. Appreciate it. We'll definitely get some more for you, Rika Murray. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in. And then the big beautiful bear, the big beautiful big bear. It's like the bill that hits the big beautiful bill that hits the big bear. So yeah, so we're going to be watching it closely. How we oftentimes trade is similar to how I mapped it out. It kind of depends on market direction in the morning. Today was starting slower. We locked in profits on the inverse of the market, but that's pretty rare. Normally we're just straight up buy and sell with occasional options. But if you want to know how to trade AI companies like Big Bear that we've been covering for a few months here, or you want to know how to invest in quantum stocks, or what's another one that we've been covering a lot, robotics as well. Definitely robotics, and quantum's been moving today. They've gone up about 30% the last few days. So a lot of things happening there. If you guys ever want to learn, it's the second link in the description. We'll be going live tomorrow morning at market open. And anywhere in the world, I send you a free t-shirt. So if you want it, again, for Stockmates, I'll shoot it over to you anywhere in the world down in the description, the second link. I appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions, comments about Big Bear, I see a bunch of great comments about Big Bear expanding for the World Cup. I think that's going to be a big one. And, comment them down below. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up. Smash that like button. Do consider subscribing. And if you're like Josh and you want to know when we go live, you can click that notification bell by the subscribe button. It lets you know when we go live, which we do occasionally. So appreciate you all. See you in the next one. Take care now.